Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutation and blessings to the hopeful elect that is scattered throughout the four winds of the earth, that believe wholeheartedly in the true doctrine that is being pushed throughout the four winds of the earth, who are in hope of mercy and salvation during the time of Jacob's trouble, which is fastly approaching. All right, as well as when Yahweh Shai returns to the planet Earth. All right, this will be a somewhat of a news and prophecy. I was watching this Jason A clip, and the first 4 minutes is dealing with, or the first 5 minutes, should I say, is dealing with this so-called third attempt on Trump's life, which, as you can see, all the news clippings that he uses is Fox 11. I forget the other ones, but we're gonna watch it. These are all mainstream news clips that we know is propaganda. All right, we know that that's the propaganda machine. We know that whenever they're pushing something on these platforms, those mainstream platforms, means that they're selling something to the people. All right, subconsciously. All right, a lot of people don't understand what the hell is going on. All right, they think that Trump is gonna save America, which he's playing his part to the T. He's playing his role, which they all are. If your eyes aren't open, you're caught in between the two, whether you're a Kamala Harris supporter or whether you're a Trump supporter. It don't even matter who you are ethnicity wise, all right? Because you got all people whose eyes aren't open. You're being psyoped with this whole race to who will be the president, and they making it so dramatic. Where there's been 3 attempts on Trump's life, and now we got to worry about the enemy from within, as Trump will say here, which they are telling you without telling you that there will be a TERROR attack on American soil without telling you. All right, this is what this is telling you. All right, and it's gonna be very bad. All right, and it's gonna, if it happens before the election or if it happens after, we don't know, but we know that indeed that there is something brewing. All right, and majority of the people eyes are closed to it. All right, matter of fact, especially our people, the Lord has poured out upon the majority of our people the spirit of deep sleep. All right, we're gonna get that real quick. All right, because you got a lot, our people are buying into this whole election shit. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be caught up into what Esau got going. You should be caught up into what the prophecies is saying, and to prepare yourself spiritually for things that are getting ready to come on the earth, man. That's what you should be doing as an Israelite, as a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American. But we know 2/3 of you have been blinded, and that pursuing not only here to Isaiah 6, but also the book of 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, dealing with the Lord shall send you a delusion that ye may believe a lie. All right? Because you're believing in lies. Everything around you's a lie. Okay? That you believe in. You believing in this, in particular, what we're talking about, the presidential race. It's been a sham since it's been a president of the U.S. Okay? It's all been a sham. It's all been controlled. And this is getting ready to be the grand finale of American society. Okay? So let's read. We're going to start at verse 9. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 9, it says, "And he said, Go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not." And this is why majority of you can't understand what the prophets are saying. Okay? This is why. It says, "And he said, Go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not. And see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy." Okay? The heart is your mind. Okay? And if you know anything about the body, all right, because this is allegory speaking, make the heart of this people fat. When you have excess fat on your body, all right, it's harder for your system to ingest the nutrients, all right, that comes from food you eat, maybe supplements or things of that nature. When you have that excess amount of fat, the nutrients can't get to your vital organs because the fat is blocking it. All right? So the Lord is saying, make the heart of this people fat, meaning your mind, meaning your mind can absorb the nutrient message, the nutrient dense message that the prophets are sending, because the Lord has put fat on your mind. In other words, he blocked you. All right? To where this nutrient dense message won't reach your spirit. It won't reach your mind so that you can understand. Okay? It says, make the heart of this people fat, make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes. All right? Lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and convert and be healed. Because this message is not hard to understand. It's strictly the Lord has to open your mind up for you to see it, for you to understand it. All right? But the Lord has angels out here blocking majority of his people to get this message. Okay? Verse 11. Then said I, Lord, how long? How long what? How long the Lord is going to keep these people blinded? All right? How long is the Lord going to make this people's heart fat? How long is he going to shut their eyes to this truth? Okay? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without an inhabitant. All right? Meaning the destruction, the final destruction, which will be the nuclear destruction. That's how long the Lord is going to leave 2/3 of you. All right? That make it all the way until you see those missiles in the sky. Okay? It says, and he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. All right? And that's how long the Lord going to leave you blinded. This is why majority of you are caught up in this whole presidential election madness. All right? It's pure madness, but it's madness and bullshit, but at the same time, it's the Lord on the left-hand side sending you strong delusions that you may believe a lie. Let's get that. Okay? Let's just go there. We're going to go straight to the point. All right. Yep. Verse 11. And matter of fact, because when you read up, it's speaking about him who's working is after Satan, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 8. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. The key point is the 11th verse. All right. Dealing with the strong delusion. Because this whole presidential campaign, either side, is a strong delusion. Ain't nobody talking about no other candidates. That's how strong the delusion is. All right? It says, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And that's happening with the prophets. All right, the prophets are consuming this man with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. All right, you shouldn't expect this man to give you the full truth. All right, he may throw some truth in there, but it's all wrapped up in a bunch of lies. All right, verse 10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, talking about 2/3 of you. All right, because ultimately, what's getting ready to happen in the planet Earth is the punishment of the wicked, and the punishment of 2/3 of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because you follow the wicked. You believe the wicked. So you're going to get the same judgment as the wicked is going to get. All right? And the Most High is fair. He's fair and he's just. He's had his prophets out here since the late 60s, all the way up until this point. All right? To the point to where everybody knows about the so-called Israelite movement. All right. And you may say, well, it's so many groups. Some of them be lying. Some of them say this. Well, that's on you. That's on you as an individual to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. And that's pursuing the Malachi, the 3rd chapter. Let me get that one. Let me get that real quick. Let's get that. And then we'll come back to Thessalonians. Okay, I think it's about 16 or 17. Hold up, maybe up a little bit. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I was right. Here we go. It's the 18th verse, the last verse in the scripture. Malachi 3:18, it says, then shall ye return and discern. All right? We all have a certain level of discernment out here. All right? You can discern when a motherfucker running game on you. Unless you just green. All right? The average Jake can discern somebody that's bullshitting them on the street. So you should be able to discern somebody that's bullshitting you about your soul. Okay? It says, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked. All right? Who is the righteous and who is the wicked that the Lord has set up? Okay? And we talking about among our people. All right? Between him that serveth the Most High and him that serveth him not. So there will be no excuse of I didn't know, I was deceived, Well, that's on you because you didn't use your cognitive ability, all right, to get in the scriptures and to see who's out here actually teaching these scriptures the right way, as well as living by them. Okay? So there will be no excuse. And no Israelite leader is going to be able to vouch for you or save you. Scriptures tell you got to work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. All right? So back in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and we left off at, I'm going to read verse 9 again. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth. Okay? It's all about you not believing in this truth, that they might be saved. Because this was King David said that this knowledge is for your welfare. Let's get that real quick in Psalms. I believe that's 69. Let me see. He said, let it become a snare unto you, that which should have been for your welfare. Yep, this is it. Psalm 69 and 22. It says, let their table become a snare before them. All right. And that which should have been for their welfare, which is this truth, this knowledge. All right. This is your welfare. Let it become a trap. All right. It's a trap onto you. You don't know who or what or why. All right. See, the Lord ain't dealing with all Israel. You got a lot of Israelite groups talking about, we trying to save the nation. Let's do this. We ain't got no nation right now. We strictly got the elect that's waking up. All right. 2/3 of our people are going to die here. All right. The Hebrew word for welfare is shalom. Shalom, which we know that means peace. It says completeness, soundness, welfare, peace. A peace of what? A peace of mind. That way you ain't all tossed to and fro with this whole, as we highlighting this presidential debate. A lot of our people are tossed to and fro with it. All right. Don't know what the hell's going on, but they know they got to choose one of the lesser evils. No, you just don't get involved. You supposed to be hastening the day of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That's what you supposed to be doing. I literally had somebody tell me that other day. Well, it's one of the two evils. We got to choose the lesser evil. Man, we ain't choosing nothing. Whatever happens, if there is an election, it was already set in stone. This is what it's going to be. And they're expecting a certain type of reaction from you copper tops, man. Okay? So this truth is supposed to be for your completeness, soundness, welfare, peace, completeness, safety, soundness, all right? Welfare, health, prosperity, peace, quiet, tranquility, contentment. Okay? Because what happens when you understand and the Lord has opened your mind up to understand the truth? You have that sense of peace about you. Now, it ain't easy as far as continuing to walk and serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai to the best of your ability, but you know that this is not it. You are at ease. You know that Yahweh Shai is going to come and set everything straight. All right? But you will catch hell in the process. And I'd rather do that than to be caught up in a whole goddamn shamble of lies and not knowing that the Lord is getting ready to come and zap every goddamn thing. Okay? Peace, friendship. All right? We were made, this truth has made us back at peace and our friendship with our Creator. Okay? As it says here, of God, especially in covenant relationship. All right? So we get the point. All right? This was supposed to be for your welfare. But you don't believe the truth. As it is written, as we go back to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 10 again. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie. All right? Now we're going to go to the video, and we're going to show you how strong of a delusion this is. All right? Remember, this man's media is a magic wand, and this is how he distracts you. Okay? This is how he runs his psyops, all right, his propaganda on you. Now, I may stop it, say a few things, and bring out some scriptures if they come to me. But let's listen, all right? This is propaganda at its best right here. And don't be surprised if they're actually so-called successful at knocking Trump down. All right. I remember an episode of The Simpsons. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see if we can pull that up real quick. Simpsons episode with Trump in the casket. I'm sure it'll come up. Now, I ain't saying this is what's gonna happen, but we know that show Simpsons has been running for a very long time. See, here it is here. Look at that. And this was uploaded 4 years ago. Which I ain't gonna play none of them because you know how Esau gets down. But you can clearly see that is a depiction of the former president Donald Trump right there. Okay, all you do is type that in on YouTube. So don't be surprised if they stage a knockdown to get the good old boys riled up. All right, to where they set this thing off, because I believe those are the good old boys is gonna set it off. And it says it here. This was an episode that aired in 1997. All right. Okay. So don't be surprised at none of this stuff, which a lot of you're already through. You've already bought into the BS. Okay. So I just wanted to show that real quick before I play this clip.
If you're asking me right now, I probably did have deputies that prevented the third assassination attempt.
Just weeks out from the US election, police say they have stopped another assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. This was a third such attempt, but was thwarted early in California.
But I'm just wondering if these outside agitators will start up on election day. Let's say you win. I mean, let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You have people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years.
Right.
What are you expecting? Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful election day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within.
A relative now of
the enemy from within. All right, the enemy that's already on the U.S. soil. See, they're hinting that the enemy is already here. Okay, the dude that supposedly tried to get at Trump while he was in Coachella, California, Riverside County. While he was there, dude, they found the dude. He had he had passports. He had a handgun with extendo on it, a shotgun. Like, come on, man. Let's be real. You gotta open your eyes to see what they're selling you. All right, and you gotta say, nah, hell no, I don't want that. Okay.
Afghan man accused of plotting an election day terror attack right here in the U.S. is reportedly charged with planning an attack.
Oh, let me back that up so you can hear what they're saying. Because this whole clip shows you that they're painting the narrative. Okay?
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within.
A relative now of the Afghan man accused of plotting an election day terror attack right here in the U.S. is reportedly charged with planning an attack in France, targeting a stadium there or perhaps a shopping center. This according to NBC News. Prosecutors have not identified that suspect, but they have identified 27-year-old Nasir Tawhidi, who was arrested last week in Oklahoma. Investigators say he was planning to target large gatherings here on U.S. soil come election day, and that he planned to also die in that attack.
Now, I've said before, these mass gatherings where people go, whether it be concerts, whether it be football games, whether it be baseball games, NBA games, that's out for me personally. I'm cool because the heightened threat of these type of things taking place. Okay? Now we know when they start to say certain things like this, they talking about he was suspected of unaliving a whole bunch of people on election day and then eventually taking his own life. All right, you watch that movie American Assassin. That's exactly what happened on that beach. People out there enjoying themselves, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of Arabs with AK-47s laying everybody down. Okay, that's gonna be a reality. That can be a reality here in the States very soon. If they're saying this on Fox News that this dude was arrested because he was suspected to do that and then take his own life, okay, that means that they planning on something like that happen. Didn't that happen in Russia? What was that, a year ago? A year and a half ago at the mall in Russia? You had some rogue shooters that say they was, I believe it said it was ISIS, and they just went up in the mall and started chopping shit down. These are the times that we're living in. This is why we got to be sober and be vigilant. All right? Because the days are evil. And they're telling us right here on their mainstream media. Okay? All the so-called migrants that came from all over the world, they've already confirmed that there's been many so-called terrorists that have entered who are on the so-called terrorist list that have entered into the U.S. Okay? They told us, what was that, earlier this year, last year, the dude with the bucked eyes at the UN said that, from Iran, said that America's next. Next for what? Yeah, a so-called TERROR attack. That's going to make 9/11 look like a walk in the park. All right? They could do these things at the same time in multiple cities throughout Babylon the Great. At multiple events. Who knows how it's going to go down. But we know when it go down, it's going to be society changing because of the times that we're living in. Matter of fact, let me get that. Let's get that, man. Ephesians, the 5th chapter. I'm going to start at 14. Ephesians 5:14. Wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and the Messiah shall give thee light. All right? Our Lord and Savior, Yahushua. See then that ye walk circumspectly. All right? Meaning, walk circumspectly, meaning knowing what the hell is going on around you 360 degrees. Circum, meaning a circle, or 360 degrees. Inspect, meaning to look. All right? Not as fools, but as wise. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Now, the FBI is arresting so-called terrorists who plan to take out as many as he could on election day. Who's to say that still won't happen? Who's to say he's the only one? Okay, this is how close we are. If they putting out propaganda like this, because it's going to happen when they start to put out propaganda like this. This means that something is in the works. All right.
The feds say this is the suspect seen here reading a book to his daughter and another child about the rewards that a martyr gets in the afterlife.
And how do they know that? All right. And we know that's what those Islamists believe, that if you die a martyr, you get rewards in the afterlife. All right. Now this is him in Coachella, California. Let's continue.
Before former President Donald Trump took the stage in Coachella, an armed man was arrested just a quarter mile away from the campaign rally Saturday night.
The local sheriff says 49-year-old Ben Miller illegally had a shotgun, loaded handgun, and a high-capacity magazine. They say the arrest did not impact the safety of the former president or event attendees.
Now, also, according to the Sheriff's Department, Miller had several passports and driver's licenses in his possession, all with different names. The black SUV Miller was driving was unregistered, and the license plate was homemade and part of the group who claimed to be sovereign citizens. Miller is a registered Republican that
Sovereign citizens, all right, those are those people who are, you know, you see the videos of them where they get pulled over by the cops and they get the cops all kind of held with the law, all right? And you got a lot of Moors who are a part of that, and a lot of you regular Jakes are starting to do that, all right? This is him categorizing, okay?
tried to run for state assembly in Nevada. That was back in 2022.
Riverside County Sheriff says that man appears to be a member of an anti-government group.
That's right. The suspect is claiming that this was all a misunderstanding. He was arrested for illegal possession of a loaded firearm, but it's not clear what his intention was during the Trump rally.
There is absolutely no way that any of us are going to truly know what was in his head. I can tell you that none of the other probably 50,000 people that showed up yesterday for that event brought multiple passports with different names and guns.
They're so tired of seeing what's happened to this country. They're so tired of seeing the incompetence, seeing the border. And I think the border is maybe a bigger deal than even inflation.
Now, you heard him say he thinks the border is a bigger deal than inflation. All right? So they're giving you the hints on how these TEOOR or RRORISTS have gotten into the country, which we know they let them in, and they're going to show Mayorkas here in a second, which he's a small hatter, all right, which he's a part of the grand scheme of the whole operation that they're pulling, all right. But this is a whole operation, a secret operation that they're doing, all right, to sell exactly what they need to sell as far as so that they can get control over the minds of the people. And it's going to come with violence, all right? But they had to set it up the proper way, okay? It's going to come at violence, but it's all to the agenda of the elite bankers. They're orchestrating this thing for it to happen. All right, problem, reaction, solution, or the Hegelian dialect. All right, pressure from above and pressure from below. You hear the apostles speak about this all the time, especially Apostle Gabor. All right, it's coming, it's here. It's just a matter of time when Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is gonna let this man pull the trigger. All right, to where he lets him completely off of the leash. Okay.
Inflation is a massive word.
What's not public are details about the arrest or the scope.
Tired of seeing what's happened to this country. They're so tired of seeing the incompetence, seeing the border. And I think the border is maybe a bigger deal than even inflation. Inflation is a massive word.
What's not public are details about the arrest or the scope of the plot. The suspect may have gotten to the U.S. through his ties to the government that may have earned him a special visa after the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan.
The problem is we evacuated people so fast out of that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, it doesn't give you time to properly vet the people. And when you don't do that, you leave vulnerabilities.
Lawmakers say the suspect may have slipped through the cracks. That's why they demand more information, yet court documents about the case are...
Slipped through the cracks when they were letting millions through. Millions. Don't forget all the videos that we saw of military-aged men from all over the planet Earth coming over here. You saw very little, and I'm talking about alternative media, social media, not the mainstream media. The mainstream media didn't show the squadrons of male migrants coming over here together in groups. Okay, they only showed the families, the Hispanics, the Latinos coming up here that's actually seeking better living. All right. They didn't show the people that was coming from Senegal. They didn't show the people that was coming from Afghanistan and all these different countries, and they were coming in by the droves in groups of all men, military age men who are in shape. They didn't show that on mainstream media. They only showed, like I said, the actual migrants. All right, they didn't show the Chinese migrants that was coming over here in groups, military age men. They didn't show them on mainstream media. They only showed what was for them to sell as migrants. And he just said some of them have slipped through or the suspect somehow slipped through the cracks. Wasn't no goddamn cracks. It was a whole gap. You could come in this way. All right. Mayorkas was the orchestrator of it all. Okay? Don't be fooled by this devil, man. Let's get that in, you know, we know that this devil he's the perfect goddamn devil. He's a liar, man. All right? We're not ignorant of his devices. 2 Thessalonians, real quick. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us. All right? The adversary, Esau, Edom. All right? Lest he should get an advantage of us. Because this is how he's getting advantage of majority of you out here. He's selling you bullshit. He's selling you a whole lie. All right? And you'll be ignorant of what he really got going on. All right? Majority of our people have been gotten advantage of, man. It says, let Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And this right here is a part of his devices. All right?
Are vague. The administration is on the defensive. The individual came in through parole.
And this is Alejandro Mayorkas, which that's not his real name. He changed his name. I forget what his real name is. But I know he has dual citizenship. And he has citizenship in he's an Israeli. His true nationality is a JEOO, all right? Or a JOO, however you want to call it, a small hatter, which really he's an Edomite, all right, from the tribe of Amalek, okay, in whom the Lord said he was going to have war with from generation to generation. And he's the Secretary of Homeland Security. He's at the top. He talks to the media. He tells everybody what Homeland Security is doing or the lack thereof, which he doesn't tell you that they're not doing. He's up there to sell lies like the rest of the devils. All right? Let me back it up just a second.
Is on the defensive. The individual came in through parole, an Afghan national, and when we vet, and we do so intensively, when we vet an individual, if we obtain information subsequently that suggests the individual could be of danger, we take appropriate law enforcement action. That is exactly what we did in this case. What feds want to understand...
And I'm talking, when I say liar, that dude nose should have been growing.
Is when the suspect developed the terror plot. And here's the question, was this a long-standing conspiracy from when he lived in Afghanistan, or did he engineer the plans once he arrived on American shores?
And Americans won't realize the very real threat there, as in 8 ISIS terrorists 6 months ago, planning an attack, 2 ISIS terrorists just now days ago, planning an attack for 3 weeks from now. This is real.
Well, I always say, so we have 2 enemies. We have the outside enemy, and then we have the enemy from within. And the enemy from within, in my opinion, is more dangerous than China, Russia, and all these countries, because if you have a smart president, he can handle them pretty easily. I got along great with all of them. I handled them. And while you're on this, let's talk about the single greatest scandal, in my opinion, in broadcast history. 60 Minutes and CBS interviewed Kamala, and she's incompetent. She gave them the dumbest answer anyone's ever heard. So they took that answer out, threw it, or the whole answer they threw out, and they took another answer that she gave to a totally different question and inserted it. And supposedly they did this a number of times, and they got caught.
Now to the crisis in the Middle East. Israel sees one of its bloodiest days since the...
So that was the clip. It goes into the so-called the new bombing that happened on Gaza again. You know, those small headers, which that's also prophecy as well. All right, but we're dealing with this propaganda of a inside threat, the enemy within. All right, and this is what come to mind. All right, because this scripture here in Isaiah the 47th chapter entails of a so-called terrorist attack. All right, because it tells you suddenly in one day these things shall come upon you, the loss of children and widowhood. How does that happen? Some crazy event, all right, that's going to kill a lot of people, all right. Let's see where we at, and I'll close it after this. Yep, here we go. We'll start at, you can start at the top, but I'm going to go straight to the point. All right, because we are in the time of prophecy out here, man. All right. I'm going to start at verse 7. Key point is verse 9. And I'm going to read to verse 11, all right? Just to get this point and bring that energy to show you that the Spirit speaks about so-called TERROR attacks, but without saying it, those at that actual term, all right? Because when 9/11 happened, wasn't nobody expecting it to happen. It just happened. It was. I remember, I was on my way to JUCO. This was when I was 18 years old. It was the fall, going into the fall of 2001, September. All right, I was playing ball at JUCO. I'll never forget. My mom called me into the living room. And I seen the look on her face. She was standing up looking at the TV. She said, "They attacked us." And I was like, "What?" And I looked at the TV and I seen the towers on fire. But I had to get to class. I'm like, damn. So when I got to school, motherfuckers, we was watching it all at school. The aftermath, after the buildings had came down. You know, it was a big deal. I remember where I was at. I was getting ready to go to school, man. JUCO College. Playing ball. Hadn't known a clue about no Israelite. But guess who was out there pushing it? The apostles. You hear their stories about 9/11. All right? How they were arrested. The school was raided. Okay? I wasn't thinking about the Bible. I was thinking about getting a check for playing basketball in the very near future. Okay? So the Lord is definitely gracious, man. All right? And this time it happens, one of these events happen. It may not be we gotta wait another 20 years for another event for them to bring. Nah. We at the end, man. Okay? The internet was barely booming back then. Okay? The internet wasn't how it is now. Okay? So this is Isaiah 47:7. It says, "And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it." Okay? talking about America, Babylon the Great. Therefore, hear now this, thou that are given to pleasures. And you can't tell me that this ain't what America is. They have a pleasure for everything. Whatever your pleasure is here in Babylon the Great, you have access to it. Okay? That dwellest carelessly. All right? There's no walls around this place. You hear them talking about the border crisis, the enemy within. All right, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Like you see what happens in it, like Israel was continuously bombing Gaza and those Palestinians. Okay? America ain't never seen nothing like that on their own soil. All right? You ain't never had to worry about your kid going to the soccer game and the soccer field get bombed. Well, that's what happens overseas. That's what happens in the Middle East. All right? Well, this is the type of energy that's coming to Babylon the Great. Saturday morning, Sunday morning, everybody out with their children going to the soccer games, to the football games, the Pop Warner. All right? You ain't never had to worry about a drone coming through and laying everything down. Okay? This is what verse 8 is saying. And this is what verse 9 says. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children and widowhood. That sounds like a so-called TERROR attack to me. Okay? In a moment, in one day. Is that not how 9/11 happened? It was in a moment and in one day. Where people were jumping out of the buildings. Apostle Gabar just did a video going into how one of the guys, actual eyewitness of people jumping from the buildings, he was seeing their spirits leave their body right before they hit the ground. Didn't nobody think that was going to happen on 9/11/2001. Everybody, it was just a normal day. But in that moment, in one day, there was a loss of children and widowhood. A lot of people died that day. Okay? And that same day, nobody of the small hat community showed up at work. That's documented. Okay? And they say that I forget what elite bankers, I don't know if it was the Rockefellers or something, they had a bird's eye view of them taking that building down. Okay? They was watching it from, a few buildings over or whatever the case was. Because they had planned it. And it came in a moment and in one day. Okay? So verse 9 again. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children and widowhood. Okay? They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. All right? The witchcraft that's being used here. This is why the Lord is allowing these things to happen. It says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. See? You can't tell me that don't sound like what Esau calls the TA word. All right? And mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. All right? Let's look up that word mischief. Okay? They was talking about dude said he was planning on unaliving as many people as he could on election day and then taking his own life. All right? That's mischief. That's evil. And you ain't going to know from where it rose. All right? The Hebrew word here is hawa. All right? Which means ruin, disaster. All right? Mischief. total ruin and disaster is gonna happen, and you ain't gonna know where it came from, why it came, and you ain't gonna be able to put it off. Talking about on the soil of America. Okay? So this is why they're selling you this propaganda. The enemy within, as Trump says. All right? The border crisis. This is why they're selling this the way they're selling it to you. Okay? Down here in the Chaldees lexicon, it says misfortune, calamity. All right? Let's see what Ezekiel 7:26 says, because it gives us that scripture. Salaki, and I'm going to close it out. Ezekiel 7:26. Let's see what this says. Mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and the counsel from the ancients. Yeah. That's a great scripture to go with this, because that's what's getting ready to happen in Babylon. All right? Mischief shall come upon mischief, or Hawa upon Hawa, all right, which is ruin and destruction. All right? It's actually, Helene was a part of that mischief. Milton was a part of that mischief. But it's going to continue to get worse and worse. All right? And then you're going to be looking for the prophets, but the Lord is going to hide the prophets when it gets to the point to where, oh no, this ain't no going outside, because it's going to be that bad out here. Okay? So let's go back to Isaiah 47, finish this out, and then we'll close it out. Isaiah 47:11 again, it says, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. And if that don't describe a TA, the TA word, all right, the TERROR, attack word, all right, if these scriptures don't describe that, then I don't know what does. All right? And this was written well beyond before America was established as a so-called country. All right? And we're here to where the Lord is getting ready to cash in on the virgin daughter of Babylon. All right? Which is America. All right? So with that, I hope and pray that this was edifying to the hopeful elect and exhorting, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and we on to the next one. Shalom.